Welcome to the Safety and Risk Success podcast with me, Christian Harris. One message came through loud and clear at Risk Europe in November 2025. Risk isn't really about systems, it's about people. In this live conversation, I'm joined by Sharon Sharples from Barclays, the Senior Operational Risk Leader with more than 25 years' experience at the sharp end of governance, culture, and organisational change. We explore the human side of risk, why protecting customers and colleagues sits at the heart of operational risk, how psychological safety and inclusion shape performance and decision-making, and how large organisations are listening for early cultural warning signs. We also discuss the challenge of making the business case for culture and the shift risk professionals need to make from being seen as blockers to becoming true business partners. If you're interested in risk, leadership, or culture, this episode is a powerful reminder that strong controls matter, but strong cultures matter maybe even more. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please follow or subscribe and share the episode with your network. Cheers.
Welcome to the Safety and Risk Success podcast with Christian Harris. We believe that proactive safety and risk management powers business performance. Each week we explore this theme, sharing guests, stories, insights, trends, hints and tips. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms and video versions are available on YouTube. But for now, let's join the conversation with Christian.
Sharon, great to see you today.
Nice to meet you, sir.
How's the Risk Europe experience for you?
It's going really well, actually. Lots of useful insights, but actually even just some reaffirmations that the things that we're doing are the right things.
You're doing
we're
the right
heading
thing.
in the right direction. So yeah, even if there's nothing mind-blowing, sometimes it's nice just to get that reassurance, right? Especially working in risk. You like to know
exactly.
that you are doing the right things.
Exactly. And you work in obviously a very regulated, very important industry. What does kind of the word risk mean to you?
Yeah, so there's this, and again, I've heard it over the last few days, the kind of mixture between actually risk is also about opportunity. So, but predominantly in our space, which I look after operational risk, it's around protecting customers, colleagues, and making sure that our processes are as safe as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, just trying to do the right thing by the business. Not forgetting, obviously, the regulations you need to comply with, but really doing the right thing by people.
Yeah. So is it fair to say that that kind of human side of risk is increasingly important?
Yeah, absolutely. No matter which risk category you're talking about, the human element has got to be at the core of it, particularly in financial services, right? Yeah. We are there for our customers. Without the customers, and us protecting their money, their data, whatever we're looking at, that's like the core of what we do. So.
Yeah. So psychological safety must be massively important then. What do you do to sort of get that state, if that's the right word, both from a kind of customer perspective, but also from your team perspective?
So over the years, I've been involved as a bit of a side hustle in terms of getting involved in our employee resource groups. So I've led the women's network. I now look after inclusion for the whole of the risk function as well. And that's really around making sure that people, colleagues particularly, feel like they belong, right? Yeah. They feel like they can be themselves, that actually, anything they need to consider in their day job or their working environment or anything they need to do, that they're safe, they can speak up. Yeah. They have colleagues that are there to support them. They've got leadership that's there to support them and considerate and thinking about those things. And I think fundamentally, if you get that right in your colleagues, then that then flows through into the way that they then treat either the colleagues they're working with, even if you're not working directly with customers, that then ultimately flows through the business out into the customer. But again, a lot of the employee resource groups also work with a lot of outside companies. So we do work with Shelter, we do work with Refuge, and again, hugely important there around protecting people out in whatever conditions they're in and they're struggling with and stuff, and making sure that they're safe too. Yeah. So we try and do what we do in the office with our charity partners as well.
Nice. So it sounds like that culture of psychological safety is really, really important. What do you guys do in terms of like tracking that, and what do you do in terms of like any early warning signs? What sorts of things you on the lookout for?
We've got formal kind of speaking up processes, etc., which I guess is where things have perhaps gone wrong. And obviously there's teams that are in place to manage and support colleagues through those processes. But we do a biannual staff survey, and it asks questions around, do you feel included in your team? Do you feel like you are treated equally to your colleagues in similar situations? So we specifically go out and ask for that feedback from everybody in the whole of the bank, and then feed that back. So again, organisationally, and then broken down to each function or business area for them then to look at that and go, actually, is there more we need to be doing in that space? Are we really creating the right environments for our colleagues? So we'll look at that. Again, can be by department or whatever, but we might do some ad hoc kind of, again, test surveys. We'll run listening groups, those types of things, again, for people to feed back and talk about the real problems and the nitty gritty of actually this is what's causing the issue. And then that will get fed up to leadership to try and resolve where it can be. And again, we'll try and collaborate, share best practice across different departments if they have seen similar issues and they've been able to resolve them and work through them together.
So like a regular pulse check, constant monitoring. Definitely not a one and done thing.
No, not a one and done thing. Obviously, you've got, staff turnover. So you've never got the same population of people. You have restructures, all of that kind of stuff that goes on. So and these are things that you can't rest on your laurels, even if you get a good score as such. Becoming complacent, actually, you could see quite a dip really, really rapidly because you've forgotten and taken the foot off of the pedal, really, in terms of making people feel like they are included and that they are, safe and secure at work, right? And then either things around the building and the premises, right? You'll get feedback. I remember we had they turned a lot of the lights off in the car park. So it's even silly things like that people have fed back and they've used the employee resource groups as well to go, see, I don't feel safe at work when I'm walking back to my car in the evening, and again, organisationally, we've then had to go, right, we need to do something about that. So we've changed policies, processes, like I said, either through feedback in the surveys or just colleagues reaching out to the employee resource groups and going, actually, I've got a concern that, this doesn't really work for colleagues in these circumstances.
Right. No, really good. Yesterday, I was hosting a panel with a lady from CBRE, and she's all about that kind of built environment in terms of workplace well-being and so kind of very aligned to
it's really important, and the fact that colleagues can then get involved in those things themselves as well, because if you find the resource group has helped you then often want to go and kind of pay forward and kind of get involved and help others. So it does breed a bit of that kind of actually, we're all in this together and we can all fix this together as well. And Barclays is brilliant for empowering you to do that. So you've kind of got the mandate to go and fix some of these things within reason. So that's a really great thing to do.
Fantastic. You touched there on sort of equity and inclusion, which I know is a subject that's sort of
really
great passion of yours. Talk to us a little bit about that, because it's really important topic, but one that maybe in a very technical discipline of risk, perhaps in the past wasn't quite as aligned to those topics as maybe it could have been.
And look, I personally got involved because I'd moved organisations, so I'd been somewhere else for 23 years. I then started at Barclays and I was like, how do I find my people? Because I don't feel included because I'm new, right? And that was purely the reason to get involved. And then, of course, built up this network, met some amazing people who really wanted to make a difference, and we're really looking at, okay, what things could we change? Where should we be focused? And then it breeds again. So internally you're doing that, then you're working with external organisations or people that are doing the same thing in their organisations. And so that whole feeling like you're part of something makes you then want to come to work. It makes you want to do a good job. Whether that's for, like I said, existing colleagues, new colleagues. I do a lot of stuff in the early career space. So for the graduates, apprentices, we want people to have a great time at work. Work is work, but, you want to feel like, that's somewhere you want to be. You can be part of that, and you can say that you're proud to work there, and kind of put that out there for everybody else as well.
Well, there's lots of research, isn't there, around psychological safety and enjoying your work and actually productivity and what that does to outputs.
Yeah, massively. And just like I said, the turning up, feel like you're part of something. you'll want to do a good job because you want to be with those colleagues and you don't want to let anybody down. But yeah, being able to discuss openly problems that you've got, and not necessarily with your workload, but you've got things like hybrid working, which is causing issues for colleagues who've got perhaps caring responsibilities and things like that, and being able to talk openly about, actually, I'm finding this difficult. What can we do to accommodate that? Because I want, I don't want to not work. And with women in particular, you see a lot of dropouts from where, because of caring responsibilities, or they've gone back to work and actually they're struggling to balance everything. And that's really important as well, that they can talk about that, and then you can come up with alternative solutions, as opposed to actually what you see is the drop out and then never return. And that's, some sad statistics really from that perspective.
No, it is. Yeah. I mean, not to make this about me, but my wife's a very high flying professional. So I do the mornings and the evenings and the dinners and, and that works for us. And that's enabled her she took a bit of a step back, and now she's kind of really back on the horse and riding it hard and doing really well. So
and that's it. I'm exactly the same. Wouldn't be able to do what I've done without my husband and my mom, who's supported me with the care and responsibilities and stuff. And it's hard if you haven't got that support network. And some people, again, work may be their only support network, and their colleagues and stuff as well. So people are in different situations. You can't treat everybody the same, and you have to look at people's individual circumstances whenever you're considering what you're looking at, right? And make accommodations where possible, right? It's not always feasible, but
obviously you're very passionate about this. How do you see sort of other organisations doing? Do you feel as if we get it as a group, or do you feel as if there's still a bit of work to do?
I think having been involved quite heavily in the last kind of 3 years, there's a lot being done. And I think most organisations are taking it seriously and they are doing something about it. Things are not moving fast enough. And in my mind, I'm like, that's because we're all doing it in silos. So there's a lot to be said about, actually, is there something, rather than us all trying to do things individually, doing it collectively, and then the power of collectiveness. So that brings everybody together, because yes, financial services takes it very seriously. Again, we're heavily regulated, so we're kind of like anything like that we will take seriously.
Of course.
Some of the industries perhaps are a little further behind, but I kind of see most of them covered when I'm involved in things. So I don't think there's many people not doing anything. I think some of it slowed down recently because of obviously the stuff that's been going on in the US. And that's had a knock-on impact for a lot of global organisations, where they've had to take a bit of a step back and consider what they're doing, so they're not out of step with what is expected from that country's kind of expectations. So things like that have a huge impact, right? And it can make things a little bit stale because you feel like you're just churning for a bit. But slow progress. Good positive stuff. I think, again, setting the example, role modelling that stuff individually as organisations, and just bringing more people along on those journeys is the right thing to do. So, but people work together, share those ideas, right? If somebody's new to this, I always say, it's not a competition. We're not against one another. I've got some great initiatives we've done. I'm happy to share what those are with people, and they can go recreate them in their organisations. It's not like intellectual property or anything, right? So
it's not like a trading algorithm.
No, that's it. So it's like we really need to kind of work together more in this space to make a more impactful and, kind of leap forward, rather than this kind of steady, slow progress, which is what we've seen over the last 30 years, really.
Okay. Talking about getting things done, you've led transformation programs and how do you go about sort of pitching or, for an investment in sort of risk management initiative? How do you do that? How difficult is it?
So haven't done that for some time, but work with the teams who do that. I guess we have set processes to follow and kind of guidance and things like that. I think, again, going back to my transformation days, it's really around writing a really good, strong business case, but understanding the true end-to-end business case. Because I think where things start to fall down is if you haven't thought about the whole journey or all of the impacts across the organisation. And some of the things I see in risk is, again, those risk type things, or when I was in operations, again, those processes and thoughts tend to be secondary.
Right.
And actually, it's making sure that you've thought about everything, because if you haven't thought about everything, then it will fall down at some point. And of course, a lot of that only comes with experience, right?
Yeah.
And having done these things a few times, that you're like, I've spotted that before, and I've been here before. So leveraging people who have done it before, even if you haven't, getting their insights, taking that feedback on board from everybody, making sure that their information is presented as part of the business case and stuff. So even if there are, downsides to what you're doing, talk about what you're going to do from a risk perspective to mitigate that, or how you're going to, look to at least reduce that risk, by maybe piloting things to improve the concepts. And so those things where you are trying to turn risk more into an opportunity, like how can you manage that? So that's, those kind of things have been where I've tended to go, where it's something a bit more risky, is like, right, well, let's do a test and learn, then go back and go, right, now can we get the rest of the money? Because we've proved actually this is viable. Yeah.
Very good approach. And would you say in the sort of softer areas, shall we say, that we've been talking about earlier, where maybe the ROI is less noticeably easy to quantify, how would you advise people to go about that? Because we kind of get it inherently, don't we, that it makes sense to have a psychologically safe workplace and an inclusive workplace, but pounds and shillings, what does that mean necessarily?
And really it's around coming up with that vision, right, and taking people on that journey. So where you haven't necessarily got all the detail, it's like, what is it you're trying to achieve? What's the outcome you want? And can you get everybody buying into that kind of like, this is what I see. I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. But are you on board with this? Yes, right, let's go and do some of that. So again, it's like, give me a bit of a mandate to go and explore, go and do some of this stuff, and I'll come back. And again, like I said, that goes back to where risk is actually about opportunity, because some of these things, and a lot of them will fail, right? But that's okay, because you only did a test and learn. You didn't go and buy the whole system and try to implement it. So
definitely. Last question for me then. What would you say would be a message to take away for a risk manager joining us in this conversation? What would be a good thing to focus on for the next 12 months, given everything that's going on in the world?
I think it's, again, heard it at quite a few sessions. It's that trying not to be the blocker or the barrier, and being the partner, the person who's actually got insight and value to add to the process. So, think about how you're getting engaged, what you're getting engaged in, and how you're doing that in a way that's adding benefit to the process or the organisation or whatever. It's a great sector to work in, and is very misunderstood. So again, making sure that you understand what it is you're doing and trying to achieve. And again, think about outcomes rather than, saying no. Think about what you could say yes to. So and just taking that slightly different glance at what you're doing.
Perfect. And you mentioned earlier, collaborating and working together. What would be a good way for people to get in touch? LinkedIn, maybe? Or?
LinkedIn. So Sharon Sharples a work. What, please? You should be able to find me on LinkedIn, and then just drop me a message. Happy to speak to anybody.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Sharon.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.
Lovely.
Thanks for joining us on the Safety and Risk Success podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please hit follow and do share on social media. Does anyone you know spring to mind as a great guest, even yourself? If so, please contact us on podcast@slipsafety.co.uk. See you next week for another episode.